to each and every one of you for taking your time out on a Friday evening to attend this webinar on master's degree in the USA, as the screen suggests. So just to give you some, we have invited 4 of the prestigious universities in the United States today to talk to you on the master's degree scenario in the US, how useful a master's degree education in the US is, what is the kind of scenario you can look at while approaching your master's degree as and when the United States is concerned. So I would like to start with a brief round of introduction. So my name is Rajan Bhatia. I am the Vice President Admissions in Jamboree, and been working in the study abroad industry for past 15 years now, and working with students on helping them realize their dream of a good education. With me today, I have our COO, Ms. Orzuma Datta Saikia. So Orzuma, if you can just introduce yourself to the audience.
Hi everyone, can you hear me? Can you confirm that you can hear me? Great, thanks. So as Rajan, thanks for the introduction. So my name is Orzuma. I have been with Jamboree since 2007. Before that, I had done my bachelor's degree in engineering from NIT Nagpur. I did my master's MS in metallurgical engineering from Missouri Tech. And after that, I worked for about 2.5 years in the US. Since I landed in India, so I have been working in the education sector. Counseling is my forte. I have worked in Jamboree since 2007. During this time, I have I have worn multiple hats. I had headed the business division of admissions counseling. I am currently heading the verbal teaching team also. I myself teach students for GRE, GMAT, SAT, and I also counsel students. And so I look forward to interacting with you guys. I would love to address your questions related to admissions, related to your GRE preparation, etc., etc. Thanks, Rajan.
Thank you, Orzuma. Thank you. So now we have Miss Julia Dudnick, who is here to represent University of Illinois Chicago and UMass Boston. So hi, Julia. Thanks for coming.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having us. So pleasure to be here with you.
Thank you. Thanks, Julia. And then we have Jim Panos, who is here to represent Stevens Institute of Technology. So a warm welcome to you, Jim.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Thanks, Jim. And then last but not the least, we have Ryan Ibasco, who is representing University of Maryland-Baltimore County. So welcome to you, Ryan.
Hi, thank you so much, everyone, for being here. Happy to share my thoughts as well and present Jamboree today.
Thanks, Ryan. So thanks to all the panelists for the introductions. So just let me set the theme for this session. So first we will have each university presenting their information about their university in about 8 to 10 minutes. And then once the universities are done, so we will be opening the forum for the question and answer session. So I would suggest you to hold on to your questions during that time. And once we open the Q&A session, so rather than typing your questions in the chat box, so I would suggest you to just type in your questions in the Q&A section of the Zoom session. And we will be addressing all these questions in the Q&A session. So just hold on to your questions till the time the universities present on their universities. So, so without wasting any further time, so first of all, I would like to invite Jim to talk about Stevens Institute of Technology. Thanks, Jim.
Great. And so I'd like to share my screen, and it's telling me that I can't share until.
Yeah, I'll just do that.
Okay, great.
So you can do it now, Jim.
Okay, great. Okay, can everyone see my screen?
Yeah, we can see your screen, Jim.
Okay, great. So let me just get to the top. So I'll be quick about Stevens and give you the key takeaways. So my role at Educo International Group, which represents Stevens, is I look after the entire U.S. operation. So what I'd like to do is talk more about, I'll talk about Stevens, but also in the context of what the opportunities are here in the United States and how they can specifically be tied to a school like Stevens. And so I spend a lot of time looking at all of the US policies, the governmental piece of what's happening, opportunities on the employment side, and a lot of different areas. Stevens is a very important university because of a couple of different things. The first is the location, which is right literally across the river from New York City. Its primary focus is to provide postgraduate students with employment opportunities and ways in which you can have access to companies that are looking for international students in the STEM fields. And they're really targeting students who want to look for those employment opportunities after graduation. So this is why we think it's a good fit for candidates like yours. In terms of the rankings, it's one of the best schools in America. The national ranking is 74. It's in the top 100 for engineering at 80. It has a great computer science program. And so it's really a STEM-focused school and a very good location. You could, and I used to work in New York City and spent a lot of time in Hoboken where Stevens is located. You can take a boat over to Manhattan in less than 20 to 25 minutes. The cost of living is more affordable on the Hoboken side, but you have access to one of the best cities in the world at a great university. There are roughly 4,000 graduate students. The graduate student to faculty ratio is very low. And we have 50 master's programs in 3 schools. I'll talk a little bit about the School of Business. You have STEM eligible programs like the analytics program, the financial engineering program, the information systems program. I have an MBA myself. I got it a long time ago, but I think the importance of an MBA in today's economy is still critical. But what Stevens does is they've attached an analytical or STEM association with business. And I think that could be a very good fit in terms of finding employment for you. Financial analytics, business intelligence and analytics are really fast-growing programs in terms of demand on the employer side, and Stevens has those to offer. The engineering programs are incredibly popular with very, very strong outcomes, and you have your computer science, biomedical, electrical, and engineering programs as well. And these are all obviously STEM eligible. The School of Systems and Enterprises is a growing field when it comes to employer opportunities. So systems engineering, software engineering, systems analytics. If you look at the most productive and growing publicly traded companies called the FANGs, I'm sure you're familiar with them. There are a lot of jobs that are open in companies like Facebook and Amazon and Google. So this is a very good set of programs for you to look at if you're interested in finding employment fairly quickly after graduation. The admissions process is fairly straightforward. We would need your transcripts, your letters of recommendation, your language proficiency, your CV for the School of Business only, and a statement of purpose. There are some flexible entry requirement options for students that want to apply for the fall and spring of this year as well. There are 4 options for the fall intake and the spring intake. And so one thing that from a US perspective that I just want to emphasize is that campuses are open. So we have partners that are starting classes already. We're seeing plans for more face-to-face courses moving forward. And the campuses are ready for international enrollments. So you could start potentially on time if you have a visa already on August 31st. The second option is you could start remotely and then arrive on campus for spring of 2021, and your overall cost would be reduced if you were to focus on this option. The third is you could actually start remotely and come to campus by the 29th. And as you're well aware, there are 4 embassies now that are taking visa application appointments in India. So this is definitely an option if you're considering coming still in the fall. And there is the CPT allowed in the summer of 2021. And then the 4th is to defer admission to spring 2021 as well. The tuition and fees are listed here. There are obviously scholarship opportunities at Stevens based on your credentials that they would look at, and the range of scholarships typically start at $8,000 and run through $20,000. The last couple of pieces of information that I'd like to share are really focused on career outcomes. So starting salary on average is a little bit over $76,000. There are over 300 companies who recruit on campus. So when you go through Stevens, you'll see very typically companies there pitching to the student, which is a really unique experience rather than you having to go to the companies. And the last point here is almost 8 out of 10 students finalized what their jobs will be prior to graduating. So you're ready to go even before your graduation is finalized, which is great. And these are the firms that are top hiring firms. So you've got your consulting firms, you have your big multinational companies that have presence in India, as an example. You have your investment banking firms, you have your large manufacturing firms, your telecoms. So it's a really great opportunity from a university perspective if you're interested in that next step after you graduate, where you're looking at high quality multinational businesses that are looking for people like you after you've graduated. Here's some more lists of companies that are interesting. Obviously, you know many of these companies that are listed here. And so this is some information as far as applying and visiting the website and the contact person at Stevens. We can also have folks from Educo support you in your local market as well. So that is the presentation, and I will stop sharing and then pass it on to the next participant. And Ryan is also on the call. Ryan and I work together, and he is an expert on the policy side. So Ryan will help answer the questions after the presentations are finished, given that I have another call in the US at 10 o'clock. But thank you for your time and appreciate the opportunity to present to the group.
Thanks, thanks a lot, Jim, for
Sure.
giving some useful information on Stevens. So now, after Jim, we will now pass on to Julia. So who will just share some information on University of Illinois Chicago and UMass Boston. So over to you, Julia. Thank you.
So much, and welcome everyone. Great to have you here on Friday evening. I know it's getting late for you. My name is Julia, and I work as a programs manager with two universities. It's two public universities. One is the University of Illinois Chicago, UIC. You probably heard about this school because every year we recruit like about 200 plus undergraduate and around 800 postgraduate students from India, and also the University of Massachusetts Boston, that is a part of the UMass system. And there's also a public, a large public research university in Boston downtown. So welcome to the journey, the virtual journey that we'll do together for the next 8 to 10 minutes. So starting with Chicago, and welcome to Chicago, UIC. There are a couple of things that you guys need to know about UIC when you think about going to study in the US, right? Because there are so many options for you. Well, UIC can actually give you the access to amazing academic excellence, because we are tier 1 university in the US, largest public research university just in the downtown of Chicago. So literally 25 minutes walking distance from the Loop, which is the Chicago, the downtown of Chicago. So, and it's the third largest city, amazing place, for your postgraduate work opportunities, so for your internships, and it's a home to many industries. And USC has an excellent, again, location, just the very downtown of Chicago, excellent ranking. We're in top 250 best universities in the world. If you check with them, QS World Universities ranking, and we are tier 1 university in the US, and we are number 14 best public universities in the United States. So. And yeah, being in Chicago as the third largest city, again, access to many industries. If you're looking to study, business, maybe MBA or business analytics, management information systems, something in technical and managerial field, supply chain and operations management. Again, great place to be. Chicago has, again, it's a home to many industries. It's a place, to the companies, 40 plus companies from the Fortune 500 list. It's number 3 best city in the nation for their number of the fast growing small and medium-sized businesses, best innovation hub in the world. So just a lovely place. Again, great place to study architecture if anyone is interested. So because it's a home to cultural things, like when it comes to the food, music, and again, a place to be, to practice once you've graduated. So these are, again, the companies that work with and recruit students on campus at UIC. So we have 300 plus companies, given, again, the prime location in Chicago. And talking about the majors, so like I said, we are the largest public research university. We have about 33,000 students on campus, and about 4,000 international students coming from 100 countries, speaking 50 different languages. So you probably, heard about, if you heard about Chicago, if you had a chance to visit Chicago, you probably also know that there is quite a big South Asian community in Chicago. There is certain districts where you can find easily the food that you like, the things that you like, cultural things. So it pretty much, could be your home. So we have 15 faculties and 80 plus academic areas. If you're, again, looking to study engineering, UIC is the big name for engineering. So our computer science, electrical computer engineering, mechanical engineering, civil industrial engineering are in top 70 best programs in the United States. Same for business, business analytics, management information systems. So supply chain operations, finance, UIC has a big name for them as well. And we're in top 100 best programs in the world for architecture. So you probably know, you probably heard and know Burj Khalifa. That is the tallest building in the world, that is in Dubai. So the architect, whose name is Adrian Smith, he's graduated from USC in 1969, and he is the one who built Burj Khalifa. So you will be also with USC having, once you've joined USC, you will be part of the amazing community and alumni networks, which will give you an extra graduate employment opportunities. So welcome to apply. Again, we're looking at the spring intake and, next fall intake. So I'll be happy to guide you through the entry requirements, to answer your questions about the cost and, the deadlines, obviously. And you always have the Jamboree counselors who will help you with the application process. So if those of you who are interested in the STEM majors, STEM stands for science, technology, engineering, mathematics. These are the majors that gives you the longest stay back in the United States once you've graduated. So you can, practice longer, right? So instead of 12 months, the STEM extension is up to 36 months. So these are the currently STEM approved majors, as you can see from the College of Business, Business Analytics, MIS program. Again, all the engineering majors are on a STEM approved list. For architecture students, there is a great program that is called City Design. So it's also a STEM approved degree. Again, guys, please feel free to post your questions. If you want to know the details, the program structure, we're happy to share the links with you. So just to give you like a brief guidelines about what you need to have and what, as a university, what we'll look at. So it's obviously your mark sheets, your percentage or your CGPA, and we will convert it into the American GPA out of 4, right? So we need at least 2.75. Or if we say, if it's a percentage, so 48 and, higher out of 100, or if it's a 10-point scale, it's 7.5 out of 10. Also depends on the college and the department. It could be, could be different. The requirements could be different, but just a general, like an overall overview, you need to have at least the minimum GPA, like listed here. Also, the second one, it's like a 3 pillars when we look at the admission. So your mark sheets, your academic performance, then it comes to the English proficiency test like TOEFL, IELTS, Pearson academic test, or the, some universities currently also accept Duolingo test, or ITEP, international test for English proficiency. So like IELTS 6.5 overall, no band below 6. So that's your minimum requirement, right? So TOEFL, it's 80 and above. And some programs, as you know, require GRE or GMAT, like graduate records examination. So, but also it could be, it could be not, some colleges require that, but also it could be waived with a certain, under the certain circumstances. So just because some majors do not require, but just recommend you to submit GRE or GMAT. If you are preparing for the graduate record examination, so go for it, because it's an exam, it's a standard exam that most of graduate programs across the US universities will require when you apply for the admission, right? So just again, like a brief overview of the cost and tuition fees at the USC. So per semester, if you're an engineering student, you're looking at something around like $15,600. And if you're a business student, so it's around like $13,000. And at the USC, it will take you like roughly 1.5 years to graduate, around 3 semesters, 3 to 4 semesters, depends on the program that you choose. Right, so again, that's it about USC. So again, please feel free to post your questions. So then, ask your questions about Chicago or University of Illinois Chicago students' experience. But now a couple of things about Boston, because Boston is the capital of education in the US. As you know, it's a number of universities. It's just the vibe of the city. So it's just a great place to be and to study. So University of Massachusetts Boston is also, like I said, is a part of the UMass system, but Boston as a study destination has been like traditionally always has been like a dream place for many students, especially international students. It's also, you know, it's one of the best place for business and, you know, to start your career as a fresh graduate. So it's in the Forbes magazine, it's number 30 best to live, to study, to start your career. And Boston is also home to many companies from the Fortune 500 list. Currently, it's like 12 companies from the Fortune, the most successful companies in the US. It's also a very green space. It's a place, you know, of innovation, technology, with the largest number, again, quite large number of local universities. It's a high tech, you know, it's a high tech place. It's a place for the high tech, biotech companies, leading medical facilities, business, financial facilities, and also engineering industries. So Boston would be a great experience for you to, like, you know, there is also an elite place to be. UMass Boston, this is the campus, the university campus is located in a beautiful place, like, you know, along the Boston Harbor, just 10-15 minutes from downtown Boston. So we are the third largest campus in the UMass system, which consists of 5 different universities, 5 different campuses. When, again, you know, if you are looking at the graduate program to join University of Massachusetts Boston, so I'll be happy to help you with admission guidelines, you know, cost overview and career opportunities for the following program. Currently, there are 6 programs that I look up to. So it's with the College of Mathematics and Engineering. It's a MS in Computer Science. It's a 30 credit STEM approved major, again, artificial intelligence, data mining, machine learning. So the program has an excellent curriculum, STEM approved degree. Also, you will be able to start the capstone project in your last semester, where you can connect with the industry leaders, with the real companies, work with the real data, and then present a solution to the client organization. With the College of Management, we're currently offering 5 programs, and again, business analytics is a great choice of specialization in supply chain analytics and big data. It's a STEM approved degree. MS in Finance has an excellent reputation, and, you know, graduate salaries are more than 100,000 a year, and it's a STEM approved degree. MIT also, information technology, and MBA. MBA was also in top 50 best programs in North America. So it's a flex MBA, 1 calendar year. You can complete this MBA and choose from 11 concentrations, like your field of specialization that you can see here. No work experience is required for this program. So, you know, we are welcoming the applications for spring intake, that is January, with the application deadline, you know, for UMass Boston, it will be November 1st, but for the University of Illinois Chicago, it's September 1st. So you still have some time. And again, with UMass Boston, some programs do require GRE, some programs do not require GRE, or it could be waived off, but pretty much, again, it's your mark sheet and it's your English proficiency test that, you know, 2 main pillars that the university will be taken into looking at when they assess your application. So that is it from my side. So I'll pass it over to Ryan, I believe, and again, happy to answer your questions then. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Julia, for the useful information on UIC and UMass Boston. So it was quite useful and informative. So now we have Ryan Abasco to present on the information on University of Maryland-Baltimore County. So Ryan, on to you.
Hi, thank you, Rajan. Let me share my screen. Second. Awesome. I hope that y'all could actually see my screen. Again, my name is Ryan Abasco. I am the Partnership Director at the University of Maryland-Baltimore County. I am also the former International Recruitment Manager at UMBC. I am also a part of EDUCO International Group. So today with UMBC, let me provide you with a couple of useful information so you can try to shortlist the colleges or universities that you're trying to apply. I'll start with the location. UMBC is actually located 15 minutes outside the downtown area of Baltimore. We are 30 minutes away from Washington, D.C., 1 hour via Chicago, 2 hours to Philadelphia, and then 3 hours to New York. So I am actually calling in from Chicago, which is my hometown, but I've lived in Baltimore for a year and I've seen a lot actually. I've handled cohorts as well at UMBC. So definitely our graduates from Indian students are actually all over the US, as well as some of them actually went back to India to pursue their career. Quick fact about UMBC. We are a part of the University System of Maryland, and currently we have 11,500 students with 2,700 graduate students from 100 countries, including, I would say we're pretty much popular in India specifically. I would say we're also very affordable in terms of tuition and fees. Starts at $22,896 per year. And remember that graduate programs will only last for 2 years. There are also assistantships available together with this, which would lessen the cost of your study. We are top ranked in federal research funding. I would say we are on the top 200, or actually no, top 150. In the US, the more federal research funding or the more research funding that you get, I would say it actually helps out the university in terms of prestige and all that. So that actually says a lot in terms of UMBC as a research university. We have a very strong job and employment outcome for UMBC. I'll present that later on, as well as our president, Dr. Freeman Rabowski, is top 10 best college president and 100 most influential people in Time Magazine back in early 2000. In terms of ranking, we are number 87, top public university. Our national ranking is 166, and we are ranked number 9 most innovative university. You can see here our top 100 programs, including computer science, physics, psychology, chemistry, mathematics, and then statistics. So we are STEM university, STEM program university. In terms of QS, which we found out this year that we are actually ranked top 100 under the US University ranking. Our world ranking is 460 out of the thousands or probably millions of universities across the world. Ranked 362 life sciences and medicine, and a lot more. Now let me go through a couple of top programs. I've seen a lot of students taking programs under the engineering and information technology area coming from India, which would include computer science, computer engineering, electrical engineering, chemical and biochemical engineering. For natural sciences and mathematics, we got biological sciences, applied molecular biology, statistics, applied mathematics, and atmospheric physics. So for social sciences, if you're not into the STEM side, we also have public policy, wherein our public policy is very strong, given that we are located in Baltimore and not that far from Washington, D.C. A lot of our students get an internship in Washington, D.C., where most of policymakers are located. And then we also have psychology and human services, and also psychology and industrial and organizational, as well as economic policy analysis. Quickly about the entry requirements. We are requiring a GPA of 3.0 out of 4.0 scale. If you're in the first class, definitely you have a chance. I myself could actually do a profile check with you. So I'm more than happy to do that after this call or together with your counselor at Jamboree. We are looking for an IELTS minimum of 6.5 or equivalent. And then for GRE, most programs at UMBC requires a GRE. For computer science, electrical engineering, computer engineering, we are looking at about a score of 160 at the very least for the quantitative section. You can see in the screen that the students with lower quantitative score can still apply or may apply if you choose to, although 156 is typically the borderline. But I've seen so far, like most of the Indian students would score between 160 and up. So I'm very happy to see those. We are requiring 3 letters of recommendation. These recommendation letters, it's not just about your character, but we want to know more about information about your academic progression, your good moral, and if you've done any research activity, as well as any additional skill sets that you have. So those are the things that we typically look at initially. And last but not least, of course, the goal statement. And this is very important for UMBC because as a research university and having a very good job outcome, your goal statement should reflect that as well. Like, we want to know, why do you want to take this program? I've seen a question earlier about my background is different, but I've been in this in the IT industry for like 3.5 years, or maybe a year and a half. Everyone has the opportunity to change their major, not really change their major, but like change the path of their career. So you can take a Master of Computer Science if you're not really from that specific area. So that's not really a big problem. Know more about your goal as well for us to consider you, as well as your academic progression. If you have, let's say, more than 2 Fs or let's say Ds in your transcript, you might as well want to explain that immediately. What happened? We totally understand that, you know, some of the students might have hardships along the way in terms of their undergraduate degree, and we will take that into consideration. Some institutions might not, but definitely for UMBC, I mean, I cannot speak for that, but I can speak for UMBC. It is a holistic approach in terms of the admissions review. In terms of the admissions review, it goes from, or rather, all applications are being reviewed by the faculty members. They have a set of review committee, and then it goes to the graduate school for verification and final review. We want to know more about your specific area and the interest, or specific area of interest in your field. Let's say computer science, if you're very interested with AI, or let's say for electrical engineering, maybe VLSI, those kind of things. We want to know more about that. As well as if you've done any internships or project work, last but not least, goals after graduation. Again, that says a lot with your application. I would highly suggest you can try to look for samples online, but please do not copy and paste. So that's that. And then other requirements needed is, of course, the application fee of $50, the resume or curriculum CV, and then there are a couple of additional requirements that the review committee might request from you, and you'll hear from us as well as like from one of my team members, Maria, who would be able to guide you through the process. Now, I know some of you would be like, are actually thinking, well, I can't do the GRE right now. We're in a lockdown. There are programs at UMBC that does not require GRE. Here's actually the comprehensive list. So cybersecurity, data science, engineering management, entrepreneurship, GIS, health information technology, ecology IO, systems engineering, so on and so forth. Even information systems. And then one of the things I wanted to quickly talk about to everyone is that some of the programs are not MS or not Master of Science. Rather, it is called Master of Professional Studies. So how is that different from an MS, a typical or traditional master's degree? MPS is actually good, especially if you have, let's say, at least 2 years of work experience. That is not, again, the 2 years is not a requirement, but it's actually helpful because MPS is a combination of a traditional study plus management courses. So definitely that would help you out. At the end of the day, if you have the basics, let's say if your undergrad was already technical enough, like computer science, electrical engineering, information system, or computer engineering, or what have you. Now, what you need to do in terms of your career is to actually combine that with your management skill set. That would make a lot of sense for you rather than just taking an entirely technical program. Because at the end of the day, with your career, what you wanted to do is, of course, move into a managerial position, or maybe director, or maybe VP or SVP, or maybe CEO. So that's one thing that I want you to consider when choosing the right program for you. Like, have a thought, like, what do I really want to do? What do I want to achieve in 5 years? What do I want to achieve in 10 years? And that would say a lot in terms of the courses that you will take in building, or let's say in an MS degree or in an MPS degree. So I hope that makes sense. Next would be the spring semester deadline. So right now with UMBC, we have a very early deadline, I would say, but because of the current situation, there is a little bit of flexibility in terms of submission. I would say you can submit incomplete applications for the sake of getting your admission, getting your application in, and then some documents could be to follow. So for computer science, our deadline is October 1, computer engineering is June 1, as well as EE. Mechanical engineering is May 1. So because mechanical engineering is a very, I wouldn't say tough program, but very competitive program, they do a very early deadline as well. Now for data science, engineering management, cybersecurity, it's later on the year, which is December 1. I just want to highlight as well the data science program. So the data science program is an MPS, again, so that's Master of Professional Studies, not just an MS, not the traditional program that you're thinking of, wherein you're not just going to learn technical skills, but you'll also be able to learn specific skill sets in the area of management and operation. That is very important in the US. I want you to consider that thoroughly. All other programs have a deadline of September 1. Other professional programs that is not listed on this slide are December 1st. So if you're planning to go for spring, not all of the programs actually accept spring applications, but the one that I've listed on the screen right now or in this presentation actually accepts spring applications. Right, the most important part or very interesting part is the tuition and fee. For direct entry, our tuition per credit is $1,132. So fees and credit is $140. Most of the programs consist of 30 credits per hour, or 30 credits in total to finish a master's degree. I've seen students who were able to finish in a year and a half, up to 2 years. It really depends on, of course, the number of credits that you will be taking each semester. As an international student, you are required to enroll full-time. That means on a semester basis, you need to enroll for at least 9 credit hours or 3 courses. So totally for the annual approximate annual cost is $22,896. Now you can see on the screen as well, there's an on-campus apartment and off-campus apartment. A lot of our international students in Baltimore at UBC chooses to do an off-campus apartment. We have what we call EXA. EXA is an Indian Graduate Student Association at UBC, wherein this organization assists every single Indian student to find an off-campus apartment. They actually match students, incoming students, with other students if there are, availability in terms of housing and all of that. So we have a very strong community of Indian students, not just Indian students, but also other students. And it's not secluded. So the campus is very inclusive. We're not like a humongous university. We're in a mid-size. We're a mid-size type university. That's why the community is intact and harmoniously doing what they can to help out each other. So right now, the I-20 funding required is $35,982. I am happy to announce that we did not increase our tuition for this year. So basically, what you can see on your screen right now, that's what you can expect for next year as well. Now, quickly about the employment job outcomes. As I've said, we have a very good job outcome. 93% of our graduates are actually employed or furthering a degree. So that means doing their PhD program. Our top employers are IBM, Under Armour, NASA, Amazon, Facebook, so on and so forth. There's really a long list. Our Career Center is very active in assisting international students for their internships, OPT or OPT SAM. As an international student, you are not really required to stay in Baltimore for an internship. You can go to Chicago. You can go, because I know a couple of students who actually went to other states to do their internship. which might be helpful for you as well. So overall salary for average graduate degree holder at UBC would range from $65,000 to $69,000. And then for engineering and IT graduates at UBC, it's between $80,000 to $85,000. Now, opportunities on campus. There are a lot of on-campus jobs if you don't mind. If you're not that kind of like a picky student or choosy student, then you can work at food services. There are also desk jobs though, like library services and others. Pay is approximately $10.10 or up to $23 per hour. It really depends on the job. Graduate assistantships are also available. I would say that if you're planning to apply for a graduate assistantship, typically the most effective way to do that is to start at UMBC first. Build that relationship piece with any of the faculty members before applying for a graduate assistantship. I'm not saying that it is relationship based, but that when you build your relationship with the faculty members, what happens is that they see through you, like your dedication to work with them, your dedication to your field of research or area of research, and so on and so forth. Excuse me. And the pay for GA is about $1,300 per month. So research assistant and teaching assistant is another opportunity. Teaching assistant is typically for PhD students. Now, as an RA or TA, you will work 20 hours a week in a research lab, be eligible for a tuition remission or a discount on your tuition. You're going to be paid, typically, I wouldn't say this is it, but like typically, averagely, it's like $1,300 per month. And then last but not the least, CPT, curricular practical training. You can work off campus after 2 full semesters. So if you're starting in spring, summer doesn't count. So that's going to be spring 2021 and then fall 2021. Now you can start your CPT in winter of 2021, which is December. A couple of students that studied at UMBC from India. So Sukhas does now have actually graduated, and then Pani is also have actually graduated already. Pani was a graduate assistant in computer science, as you can see as well. As one of the our former graduate program director they have a photo with. So that is that. Again, I am very happy to be here, and thank you so much for joining us today. You could look at, so I have here my email address for UMBC as well as Maria. Maria is our international recruitment manager and very active and knowledgeable on the things about UMBC. She currently lives in Baltimore, so she can give you an insight. So one quick fact about both of us, Maria used to be an international student, and I am actually an immigrant in the US. I moved in the US in 2017. So that is always our foundational knowledge in terms of assisting international students and sharing, you know, the struggles that you guys are facing, or I would say thoughts about uncertainties currently. So again, I am more than happy to answer your question. I'll move it over to Rajan.
Thank you, Ryan. So thanks everyone for detailed information on your universities. So Orzuma, we can open the round for Q&A now.
Thanks, Rajan, and thanks everyone. So I have been keeping an eye on the Q&A section, and I am actually seeing some questions that around 3 broad topics. So first question that I'm seeing is that, is there any cutoff for GRE and TOEFL scores for your programs? So Julia, can you please let me know about your universities? Is there any minimum GRE or TOEFL score that a student has to get an admission?
Sure, great question. Yeah, thank you so much, Ariama. Yes, for the for all the business programs, for example, if you're interested in business analytics or MIS program, management information system, right? So USC require GRE 305, right? So that's the minimum. And the quant part, so try to get like 160 to be on the safe side. So it's 305. and above, and Quant 160, right? So for IELTS, it's just IELTS requirement across all the programs is the same. You know, pretty much for the business engineering program is 6.5 overall, and no band below 6. For TOEFL, it's 80 minimum, but you know, 90 to be on the safe side. Like TOEFL, 90 overall, 90, and writing section 21, and no section below 20. Okay.
Julia, if a program does not require a GRE, so does having a GRE score help the student?
It would be like, you know, an additional you know, evidence that just support the profile as an additional document. But for example, mechanical, you know, industrial engineering, civil engineering programs at a UIC, it does not require GRE. It says recommended, but if your student has taken that exam, it's absolutely, you know, would be just an advantage. You might maybe to balance kind of, you know, if it's a lower percentage or a little bit on the lower side, right? So it will not like absolutely, you know, compensate the lower CGPA or the lower percentage, but it will help somehow, you know, improve students' profile, right? If a GRE is about 300, but doesn't is not required by the program, but students have it, so it's always a good additional evidence, you know, for the students to have. And also when they come for the visa interview, you know, that's just like a genuine intention. It's like,
Right.
you know, to demonstrate it.
Right. Students, I hope you heard that. So even if a program does not require a GRE score per se, having a good GRE score will definitely help your profile, and it is definitely a plus when you go up for your visa interview. Right? Thanks, Julia.
Welcome.
Same question to you, Ryan. Is there any minimum GRE or TOEFL IELTS score that is expected of the applicants? And if a program does not require a GRE score, does having a GRE score, add value?
Yes, so totally for most of the programs, again, it really depends, or the core for IELTS or TOEFL really depends. Most of our traditional programs would require 6.5 overall band. We don't have a minimum band score, but because we look at it like every single course. But I would say based on experience, just do not go below 6.0 or at least 6.5 to be able to get into the program or to be competitive among all other applicants. One thing that I did not mention is that UMBC will be accepting Duolingo test of English, for only for spring. So it's not traditional for us to accept that, but because we understand what's happening, we will be accepting Duolingo for spring semester for the applicants. The minimum for Duolingo is about 105 for most of the programs that has 6.5 IELTS requirement or TOEFL 80 requirement. But for others, like let's say the master or professional studies programs, we require around, let me quickly look at this, 120. So that is for, again, the Duolingo. So typically, again, IELTS 6.5, TOEFL 80. For MPS, it's TOEFL 100 or TOEFL 90, and then IELTS 7.0. Now for GRE, there's no specific score that we're looking at, to be honest. But since we are more of a STEM program, as I've mentioned earlier, we're looking deeply into the quantitative score of at least 160 as much as possible. Aside from that, for those programs who doesn't have a GRE requirement, again, it's okay not to have that, especially if you have a very good academic progression. So if you don't have any F and you're in the first class, you don't really need to do a GRE. But if you have, let's say, 2 F or maybe 3 Ds or 4 Ds, then might as well do the GRE.
So Ryan will stick with you. So for the next question is that, what kind of scholarships are available for international students? And what should a student have in his profile to make him a competitive candidate for his scholarships?
Mm-hmm. So because I just wanted to let everyone know that because of our price point of our tuition is already low, we don't really do necessarily a traditional scholarship upon admission. However, Entryl actually provides a $1,000 scholarship for you to take advantage of. So that is applicable to all students who apply at UMBC. Now, if you're looking for a graduate assistantship or a research assistantship position, as I mentioned earlier, for you to be a very competitive applicant for scholarship or for GA or TA offer, then you might want to highlight on your research activities through your goal statement, your work experience, especially if it's, let's say, a multinational company like Amazon, that would be perfect, or Infosys or Cisco, that would be perfect. But I cannot guarantee that. All of those will actually go through the review committee in each of the departments.
So a follow-up question to that, if a student has work experience, the program does not require work experience, but if a student has work experience, does it add to the profile?
Definitely. So again, as I was saying, because it is a holistic approach, there are areas that say, I've seen some students who are average, but has, let's say, has around 5 years, 6 years of work experience. Because it is a holistic approach in terms of the review or admissions review, we take into consideration all of those components when you submit those, specifically with your resume as well as your letter of recommendation. So definitely it would help if you would classify yourself as an average student.
And what if that work experience is not in the same industry or same domain as the program that the student is applying for? Will it still help?
It might help specifically in the area of MPS programs, just because, again, MS is more traditional versus professional studies is a combination of traditional or technical courses plus management skills.
Right. Thank you so much. Julia, so same question to you. We'll start off with what kind of scholarships or assistantships are available for international students, and what should a student have in his profile, or what should he highlight in his applications to stand a fighting chance of getting those financial aid?
That's right. Okay, it's a great question, and similar to what Ryan has mentioned, and he has shown on his slides, like about assistantship. So, University of Massachusetts Boston is a public research school. They have graduate assistantships, like research teaching assistantships available for the master's degree students. So it's pretty much like a similar range of like first semester that the students can get. At the moment of application, usually we ask students to indicate if they're interested, right, in the graduate assistantships also. And then once, let's say, they've got admitted to the university and been selected also as a part on their academic profile. So basically it's the university will be looking at the like academic criteria, as well as the 2 letters of recommendation, any internships experience, any projects experience that the student has. But also it's possible to apply once you are on campus. At the university, UMass Boston is also accepting applications for the assistantships. So and again, when it comes to the scholarships, right? So also our students, like those once you've applied, guys, then you need to, once you've got your admission letter, then you'll get in touch with your counselors at Jamboree and ask the counselor to apply for the scholarship. So UMass Boston has a scholarship up to $4,000 for the entire program, right? So, and it's like could be $2,000 a year roughly, if it's a 2-year program or like across 3 semesters. So for the University of Illinois Chicago, graduate assistantships and research assistantships are mainly available for the PhD students. To be honest, they are more competitive, like, given a bit like, the university profile, location, and then popularity. It's more like the PhD students that are getting those research and teaching assistantships positions. So graduate students were eligible for this fall for the one-time waivers, a scholarship waiver of $1,500, so $1,500. So it's basically like one semester of your similar, to the graduate positions or the teaching graduate assistantship positions. So salaries that you can get. So it was a waiver, one-time waiver, like for one semester of your studies at the UIC. So that's pretty much, my advice would be, apply as early as possible, because once you've got your admission letter, then you can see, you can benefit from the scholarships available, obviously, and make your decision during the university just to secure your opportunities earlier than that.
Right. And is work experience mandatory to apply for any of the programs? And even if it's not mandatory, does having work experience help students' chances of admission?
Yeah, I think, like work experience is mainly required, for the MBA program at the UIC. So we, again, but we can be flexible with that as well. The graduate admission, the College of Business Administration have some flexibility, but they say like 2 years of work experience that it required for the students to apply, but there could be some flexibility. And if a student has a work experience, like which, we honestly have a mixed crowd. So we have students who just fresh graduates, and I think there were some questions here from the students interested in, let's say, finance major. Absolutely fine. If you're, just graduated, finished your bachelor's, you are interested in the finance major, right? Or even if you want to do the MBA as a fresh graduate, that's fine, because there are different types of MBA, and those that we offer at the UMass Boston, for example, or the USC even, they will prepare you for mid-level position, so entry level to mid-level position. So they will definitely give you a boost, push in your career. So because there are different types of MBA, there could be MBAs that require 5 to 10 work experience. It's a different league, like executive MBA type of. So for these programs, MBA is quite flexible. If you have work experience, like I know, because I've been working with students from South Asia for quite a long time. So sometimes we have students who work at the Accenture, right? So in Hyderabad or Mumbai, or students who work with Facebook or Amazon, right? So they kind of bring that experience to the US with them. They mention that on the CV. They have letters of recommendation, and even though it's not required by the program, but then you have these papers that will help you then to start your networking and career opportunities in the US, in Chicago, let's say, where Accenture also recruits students on campus at the UIC, right? So you kind of bring that experience that you've already had in India, and it will help you then with your networking and building up on your career opportunities in the US. So I would say, it's beneficial.
Thanks. One more question. After that, I'll open the floor for Q&A. So are the 3-year bachelor's degrees from India? So in India, some of our bachelor degrees are for 3 years. So are those accepted in your universities?
Great questions. And yes, BCom, 3 years bachelor's, it's accepted by the University of Massachusetts, Boston. At the UMass Boston, if it's a computer science, well, typically computer science, I think you'll have 16 years of education. But if it's a major that is 3 years, it could be accepted by the UMass Boston. It's like a case by case, they say they review, but they're open, to accept and assess applications for their computer science course, business analytics, finance, MBA, information technology. Welcome to apply.
Thanks. Thank you so much. So Ryan, same question to you as well. So are the 3-year bachelor degrees from India, are they accepted at UMBC?
Yes, definitely. Again, we do not. So one thing I would say is that, of course, we do not require an ECE or WES evaluation. So even if you have like a 3-year bachelor's degree, that's totally fine with us.
Thank you so much. So with this, I open the floor for Q&A. So attendees, if you have any question, just raise your hand. I will give you mic access and you can ask your question directly. When you ask your question, please specify who the question is for. If the question is for Ryan, just say this question is for Ryan and then state your question. If the question is for Julia, then say this question is for Julia and then state your question. Before you raise your hand, make sure that your mics are working. If your mics are not working, then we'll end up losing time. All right.
Arjuna, I have one more question before we do that.
Yeah, sure.
Hello?
Yeah, Rajan, please go on.
So this question is to both Julia and Ryan. So Ryan, a lot of students are apprehensive of this COVID situation, whether they should go ahead and start in spring 21 or they should wait for fall 21. They are worried about the CPT and the OPT options in the US. So can you just throw some like a brief light on it so that the students are rest assured that they are taking a good decision?
Mm-hmm. So I totally understand that that there's a lot of uncertainties right now in the U.S. and Julia would probably barge into this as well. That a lot of students are panicking and all that. They don't know, should I start now? Should I, like at the end of the day, all of the institutions in the U.S. We somehow didn't see this coming as well. And the only thing, and I like before our presentation today, I was contemplating last night, like the student would need to live in fear that, what's going to happen to me in terms of my career. Should I actually start soon or should I actually start later? It really depends on you because at the end of the day, I could see is that there is a rise in terms of like work from home internships as well as opportunities for you. So I wouldn't say to stop yourself from doing that. But I also understand your concern as an international student that you want to be here and be eligible for the CPT. And that's totally understandable. That's valid because, a lot of our students would want to have an experience in the US. So I would say don't stop yourself from doing the spring 2021 because at the end of the day, if that doesn't work for you, let's say it happens again that we come back into a lockdown, you can always defer your studies. So it's not going to be a problem. And again, in terms of career-wise, there are more growth than uncertainties in terms of like job prospects.
Yeah, Julia.
I think it's a great question, and obviously, guys, it's like, yeah, we are experiencing something new all of us here. But I can give you some, just an example of the students that I've been working with, like since like March and April, those ones who secured admission for the fall intake, right? So we again have a mixed crowd. We have students who are joining virtual semesters, online semesters, because it's like, if you're doing one semester live, so it does not like have any impact on your OPT, right? And then when it comes to CPT, imagine like, universities like UIC, right? Or UMass, where you have at the UIC, it's a huge school, right? In the Chicago downtown. So you have, always, job opportunities on campus in case, like, if you're not working off campus or you're doing your CPT off campus, you can always start it on campus because you see every faculty. If you look at the civil engineering department or electrical computer engineering department, mechanical, they have a number of virtual laboratories. They have number of projects going on. They have like $500 million funding into the research project. So you will be like still safe. You will have options with the universities within the campus. So it will be like your platform, your first step to start your career, right? And then continue your OPT practical training once you've graduated. And there is no impact on your OPT at all, right? With the current legislation, so with the current policies. So that is why, we have students who secured the admission and, secured some, scholarship opportunities, because again, with USC, it's quite limited, for example. And, same with UMass, there were some scholarship opportunities for this fall, but then, students decided like, to just to catch this, to secure this seats, right? And then, pay the deposit, get the scholarship, and then, start virtual semester. Some decided like to defer and come to campus in January. So it looks like, and we are planning actually, to welcome students in January. It's also like the current situation at the USC, the campus is operating, the campus has been reopened. So we are offering classes on campus. Some students were able to travel to the US, and last week we started orientation. We were welcoming like students from Southeast Asia, and even right now, I think, some students also from India, South Asia, applying for the emergency visa appointment and joining the classes pretty much. So that's why, we have like a good confidence, a good feeling that you guys will be able to then come for spring and then, continue your experience, your studies in the spring intake. So my advice would be, just again, don't miss the opportunity. Just if you graduated, don't delay, apply right now, because I would say uncertain time is probably yet to come, because we will have next year, we'll have another, bunch of students who will graduate next year, and that's pretty much the truth, right? So if so, still undecided students from this year will defer to next year, and then, the longer you defer, then, the harder it will be apply in terms of, getting your admission offer, that, waiting, the decision waiting time, and the scholarship opportunities, because we honestly don't know what happens, next fall for 2021. So the earlier you apply, the better. Just, your next step, talk to your counselor. So there were great questions about like, pre-assessment of your documents. So preparing for GRE, right? To take the GRE, and if you've taken the exam, just launch your application as soon as possible. And once you receive your admission letter, again, apply for the scholarship and then make a decision. And it's always been, the US, the land of opportunities. The economy will be recovering pretty quick, and it's like the country #1 in terms of the universities, like the companies, the number of companies, the number of job places. And as many of you are pretty much interested in the STEM field, right? It gives you like always advantage, a competitive advantage, because you will be skilled workers, right, in the science, technology, engineering field. So which has nothing to do with, I would say, the current orders or, executive orders from the President Trump, or, the current debates that are going on in the US. So the next couple of months will be pretty exciting and interesting, I think, to observe. But it's all before the elections, right? So once elections are over, that's again my opinion. It's not rocket science, I think, but I would say, don't wait till like November, right? So just apply now, and then join the universities and in spring intake, because once elections are done and over, so everything's pretty much, I think, gonna be quiet and back to normal.
Great. So as they mentioned, US still presents a lot of opportunity to apply, being the #1 study abroad destination in terms of research, which is way ahead as far as the other countries are concerned. So the clear message from the universities is to apply early, put in your application early for better chances of admissions and better chances of scholarships. The STEM is there, the OPT stays, so everything is in proper place, and the support services for all international students are quite immense. So thanks everyone. So Arzuma, we can continue. Yeah, thank you.
Sorry, Rajan, can I just add something to that? I know a lot of students are also kind of wary about the news all over the internet about OPT being changed or being, demolished by the current administration. This is actually hearsay, and it has been going on since 2017, 2018, and nothing has happened yet. So those kind of things, I hope that if you get in touch with, any university that you've decided to really work with or apply for, please don't just rely on the news that you see online. Make sure to get in touch with your university representative to make sure or to know what is really happening, instead of just looking at blogs and all that. And even go back to Rajan or one of the team members at Jamboree. They would make more sense in terms of like, they would be able to tell you what's happening rather than just looking at blogs specifically.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thanks, Ryan. That was quite insightful. So now let's get back to the questions. So the first person, Sai Kumar Saparapu. So Saparapu, please excuse me. So I have given you mic access. You can unmute yourself. Please state who the question is for and then state your question.
Hello, the question is for both Ryan and Julie. Like applicant with 5 Fs in his academics under graduation, can the applicant for the allowed for the applications like it is considered or not?
So thanks for your question, Sai Kumar. So let me rephrase it. So in India, we have this concept of having, backlogs where you get an F, but you are still allowed to continue to the next semester, let's say. So throughout his graduation, he seems to have 5 Fs. So is he still eligible to apply? So that's his question. So Julia, let's start with you. And then once Julia is done, then Ryan can take up the same question.
Great question. Yeah, backlogs is quite a typical question from the students. But I can tell you, like, for the UMass Boston, you guys can submit the consolidated mark sheets, and the university will be just looking at the like the overall CGPA or the percentage. So they don't have a a set criteria for the backlogs. UIC, they look at the last 60 credits or 2 years of your education, right? If that backlog happened in year 1 and year 2, so that will not have any impact on on your admission on the admission result, to be honest. But again, UIC will be looking at the individual mark sheets, and for the last 60 credits, 2 years, and then it's actually all your overall CGPA or the percentage will be counted. Like if you have 5 backlogs but you cleared them, right? But then if your CGPA is like 7.5 out of 10, you're good to go. Or like 55 out of 100, you're good to go to apply. So we don't have a set criteria for the backlogs, if that makes sense.
Thanks. Ryan?
Yes. So for UMBC, like for us, we don't also have like a set of requirements for that. But what is the advice? Just based on the experience, is that what we've seen is that the more, I would say, students with the most of 3 backlogs would be fine to apply. Anyone could actually apply. It's just that if you specifically have 5 backlogs, that might be a little bit risky for UMBC. But again, it really depends on the program that you're looking at. So some of our programs, let's say data science or engineering management, might be able to be more flexible and look at your overall application rather than a traditional MS program.
So, Sai Kumar, I hope that answers your question.
Yes, definitely. Thank you.
All right, thanks. Next question is from Shubhrika Dogra.
Hi, everyone. I hope that I'm audible.
Yes.
My question is, I have actually 2 questions that I stated out. I'll first speak to Ryan directly. Ryan, I have been viewing the website of University of Maryland for quite some time now, and I'm looking out to enroll into the MS-MA program. But unfortunately, I wasn't able to spot that program during the presentation. Is that something that has been discontinued or was left out somehow? Could you please help me understand a brief about the MS-MA program that's into marketing and analytics?
Sorry, could you repeat that? MS what? Marketing?
Analytics.
Analytics. So
Yeah.
analytics, in terms of, so we don't really have MS in analytics. What we have is MPS in data science, MS in information systems, and MS in computer science. These 3 programs are the basically have an overlap if you really wanted to do data analytics. Computer science could actually be, if you're more of like the technical side, you might want to offer an MS in computer science and then concentrate in data analytics. Information system is less technical than computer science, but it also has an overlap in terms of course and specialization if you want to go for data analytics. However, last but not the least is data science. Data science has more in line of what you're really looking for. So I would say don't look for analytics, look for the data science program. But either of those three would actually work. It really depends on your own, what would be your pursuit, or rather your specialization. Like, do you want to do more technical, or do you want to have also a background in not just the technical, but also management skill set?
All right. Okay. Thank you. Proceeding to the second question, I'll reach out to both of you in a very brief question that currently I am pursuing a correspondence course. That's a 1-year program with a graduation that was a 3-year program. So will that correspondence course be considered a part of my education and qualify me for a 16-year education?
Yeah, I can take that one. So yes, if you've completed your 3 years bachelor, so 15 years of education, if you are doing your if you started doing your diploma course or the master's course, yes, it is considered as your it will be considered as the 16 years of education for you, at least for UNC and UMass.
Okay, all right, that answers my questions. Thank you so much for your time.
Welcome.
Right. So the next question is from Karan.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah, so hi, my question is both to Ryan and Julia. First of all, thank you so much for your presentation. My question is that I have done marine engineering and I have work experience of about 3+ years in the merchant navy. So I wanted to do an MBA, but just a 1-year program. So is it recommended, since my plan to do an MBA is to transition from a engineering career to more of a business career? So would it be recommended to do a 1-year MBA program, or should I just go take the safe option and do a master's instead?
I'll quickly answer first in terms of that. So you said your undergraduate degree was in engineering, engineering?
Yes, marine engineering.
Yeah, if that's the case, like on my end for UMBC, I would say just you don't have to do the MBA program. Go for an engineering management. The courses inside engineering management focuses on really teaching you how to manage a team in the field of engineering. So if that's one thing that you wanted to do, although of course if you wanted to do, let's see, if you wanted to take finance courses, that could be a little bit different. But yeah, it really depends on the career path. But I would say it's not really required for you to do a 1-year MBA or take courses in the MBA. You could go directly for an engineering management at UMBC.
I think, yeah, great question. And my advice would be, take a look and see the course structure, right? So I'll send you the link for the MBA course at the UMass Boston, and then you can compare with the, engineering management course that Ryan recommended, and see, what better, meets which course better meets your expectation. Because MBA, you will be studying, and we have students, with the engineering background. It's not like something uncommon, I would say, but these days, students both taken I've seen lots of demand or increase in demand in the increase in interest in the engineering management courses. It's where you will basically were working on the engineering managerial skills for the engineering projects, right? And it could be maybe even a STEM approved course. Again, you need to check with the school that you apply for, right? So that may be the main difference. While MBA, it's not a STEM approved course, but it gives you kind of an overview for the company, like the operations in the company in general. If it could be HR management, finance, accounting, marketing, like a strategy, digital marketing, leadership. So you like, be ready to go like leader, right? To apply for leadership position within the companies and like, managerial position. While like in engineering management is more like a technical and managerial field, both. See what you like, best to go through the course structure at like, UMBC, for example, and then UMass Boston, and see which course just meets your expectation or your career aspirations. And then, or you can always apply for both universities, right? So for different courses, and then decide. Hope it answers your question, Karen.
Yes, thank you so much. And just one last question is just a general question is, for example, I heard we read a lot about the Trump administration planning to restrict the workforce from foreign countries or immigrant countries. So is like the democratic election, the elections in the US play a critical factor in determining whether we get an opportunity to work after getting our education in the United States?
Yeah, I think we've just covered this partly, and again I've just shared my opinion on that because it's just everything that is happening. It's just it's actually didn't have any impact on the fresh new applicants. There were a couple of executive orders from the President Trump where like the students needed to attend like at least one. The students who were in the U.S., the current students, right? They needed to attend like at least one course in person on campus rather than the online courses. But then everything has changed again, and I would say everything will be again back to normal once the elections are over. And if you again guys, because you are all well-educated people, right? So you have access to the information. So I would strongly recommend you just like this, attend the webinars, also read some articles. There are good articles, as on the Forbes website, for example. You can check the labor market. You can always check, the positions, the salaries, because since the pandemic, for example, the again STEM sector, like engineering, analytics, data mining, and basically like many industries under the STEM category were not impacted at all, because you have the unique skills that you can apply in the industries. You can work remotely, and these are your strong points, strong advantages. And again, as an international student where you invest in your education, and the US has been always the place to go to study because you pay for your education. So it won't change for you. I don't believe in that. So it will be always an opportunity for you. I will be always post-study work opportunities, as well as on-campus opportunities. So that is why I think again, for now, it's just the first step is just to decide and then to apply, and then you can make your final decision, accept your admission, pay your tuition fees after the election. But I'm pretty sure everything will be stable, and international students will not be impacted, because for the US it's quite a education has been a profitable, a big piece of pie in the economy. So education has been always there, and for you as a STEM student, so it will not have you won't bear any risk, so I would say.
Yeah, just to add to Julia's response to that, for everyone, education has always been, have greatly helped the economy of the US. In 2018, 2019, I know it was about $45 billion that international students have actually brought in, and about more than 500,000 jobs are actually supported by international students. In the event that we have received this kind of new policy again about OPT, restricting OPT or whatnot, come to think of it, that all of the institutions across the US who host or which host international students will actually push back to the administration. So all of us here in the US I would say like we actually have your back as an international student. And as much as possible, like we want you to have the same opportunities as well as our domestic students, because you help us. Like, to be honest, on a personal note, I'm always thankful for international students, because without international students, I won't have a job at all. So definitely, as Julia was saying, like it might change because of the election in November, but that should not stop you from, seeing yourself here in the US pursuing a master's degree or a PhD program.
So I completely agree. A lot of it is actually, my own nephew, he has been in the US, and he has applied for his renewal of his H1B visa, and he got it like, last month he got it in spite of all the noise and everything. So he did get a, 3-year extension. So some of it is noise, and yes, I have myself been in the US for more than 4.5 years as an international student. It's the most welcoming place for international students. I have also been to other countries, and I feel US Americans as a society, they are far more welcoming of international students than what is being portrayed. And that's how news works, right? When anything that is sensational becomes news. So even if that happens only for a smaller percentage. So I would ask you guys not to panic, not to a lot of this news is actually clickbait, so read thoroughly. It's nothing is as bad as it seems. I'm giving my own personal example. My nephew got his H1B visa extended last month in spite of all that noise, right? All right, so next question, Sambhavi Chaturvedi.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, so I had my doubts with Juliana. Like, I actually am a third year BMS student, and I have had breaks in my career because I pursued engineering for 2 years and then I left. But then to recover that, I tried doing these courses, like the digital marketing course I did, and I have done some courses in London as well. I'm doing an internship currently, but I don't know what else is expected of me while applying to colleges. So I just wanted to know if there is something additional that is required, and if there'll be like if I can apply for scholarships as well.
Right. Thank you so much for your question, Shalavi. So just to sum it up, like, again about your education, you said you haven't finished your bachelor's. Is that correct?
Yeah. I'm in my third year, last year.
Right. So you are you finishing your bachelor's right now? You said you just had a gap, right? So
Yeah. So I had a gap of 2 years before my bachelor's because I joined engineering. But
yeah.
after that, I have continued my studies, and now I'll be completing it by the next year.
Okay. What will be your degree, the qualification?
So I'm pursuing bachelor's in management studies, but I further want to do a master's in marketing or an MBA in marketing. But I think generally what my perception is that MBA in marketing would require work experience. But in the webinar, I came to know that it's some colleges do accept without a work experience. So I just wanted to know further about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, we will be happy to, assess your application for the University of Massachusetts Boston and MBA program, which has, 11 concentration, and you can choose up to 2 specialization. It's a 36 credits or 12 courses MBA, which you can do in like 1 calendar year or 1.5 academic years. So we will be like, the gaps is fine as long as we can provide some evidence. Like you said, you've done some, some courses, right? You've completed some courses, and also your statement of progress, like, the letter of explanation where you can address, your academic and professional goals, and then just mention about the gaps, right? So while you were taking those gaps, and then the question will be about the your CGPA, or the percentage depends on which grading scale the university uses, but then it will be quite important to look at your CGPA or the percentage, so to pre-assess your application. And once let's say you're meeting their minimum entry requirements, and once you've got the admission, then we can apply for the scholarship. Because how it works with UMass Boston, that admitted students, first you get your admission letter and then you apply for the scholarship. So as an admitted student, you're qualified for the scholarship which university has. So then we allocate the scholarship, so like up to $4,000, for example. That was the University of Massachusetts Boston. And so to calculate the cost of of your degree program, so it's usually cost per credit. So UMass Boston has MBA is 36 credits, and it's $1,518 per credit for the entire degree program, right? So, and then again, once you've got admitted, then we apply for the scholarship. Does it make sense to you? Answers your question?
Yeah. Yes, I think that does answer my question. And also, like just a general question, like if you could suggest me, like are there other colleges that would accept an MBA without work ex, or is it just UMass?
So there are, let me take that. So there are quite a few colleges actually where you can apply without the work experience. So I'm assuming that you have left your number in the chat. So our team, Rajan and his team, they will get in touch with you and will be able to give you more options once we have a detailed discussion about, your percentages and extracurricular activities, internships, etc. We'll need a little bit more information about that. Okay.
Also, one more last question from
Actually,
Juliana.
we
I just
are really hard pressed for time here. So
sorry.
if we have not been able to answer your question, you can just leave your number in the chat. We will be calling you.
Okay, fine.
Thanks. So we will take one last question, and so our apologies for the students whose questions we haven't been able to answer. Please leave your number in the chat. We will call you. We'll definitely call you. So I'm taking this one last question. The rest of you, please leave your number in the chat. So the last person is Ronak Chaurasia. This is the last question. Yes, Ronak, who is the question for and what is the question?
Firstly, thanks everyone for organizing this amazing event. My question is for both. I would like to get the suggestions of Ryan first. Like, I am interested in computer science. I've done my bachelor's in computer science. It is computer science and engineering to be exact. But I also have some management experience. Like I have organized events. I am a Toastmaster, and like I have done a lot of things in extracurricular, like management things, the NGO and all. So I'm like, my plan was to do firstly engineering and get some as job as a software developer, and then go for management positions later on my career path. So my question was, should I go directly for any management positions, and are the management positions require technical skills, and what should I focus in my profile if I am applying for a degree which is in management side, like engineering management or MIS, like what types of LOR or what types of thing do I need? Like in MS, I need research papers to get a better profile, and in management side, what do I need exactly?
Yeah, so in terms of the first question, you don't really need to jump into a management position. Like all of us, to be honest, like every single graduate would have to start from the bottom part. So through the programs at UMBC regarding, or even with Stevens, I would say that those programs that are MCS actually build your skill set towards a managerial level. So even if you haven't had the state management course, know that that's totally fine. You don't have to jump immediately into a management position for your career. However, again, the course will actually help out. It really depends on you if you wanted to do more technical or whatnot. Aside from that, one of your questions was like, this managers would need to have technical side. Of course, we all do, because let's say you won't just be able to, you're not just managing your people. Basically, you need to have a background as well of what they're doing. So that's one thing that you might want to consider. But of course, because you already have that technical background, it makes sense for you to add a of skill sets in terms of like management or team management or operations. And then in terms of profile building, again, for UMBC, we don't really require any work experience, but what I would highly suggest for you to highlight on your internships, what you have done in terms of, let's say, extracurricular activities, or even within school or outside school, that's totally fine. Be creative in your own goal statement. We do not want, like, I've seen a lot of like goal statements, to be honest. Most of those would say, some are actually generic, which I would say doesn't help. I want you to really think through it. There's no specific number of words required, but at least be thorough in discussing your background, your academic background, how well did you do in school, and then second would be your extracurricular activities, and currently, and lastly, your goals. Those three components in terms of like goal statement would actually help you get into any university. Because to be honest, like I was once also a part of an admissions committee or review committee, and I always look at those three components. But I don't want to admit students who doesn't really have a long-term goal, or all they do is, oh, I don't know why am I doing this program. Like I just want to be more technical at this. So really, give us your background on what direction you're looking at in terms of career.
So I think that was all. So thanks Ryan and Julia for being such a patient panelist. You have addressed the questions of everyone so clearly. So thank you so much for spending so much time with us. Rajan, over to you. And to all the attendees, if we haven't been able to answer your questions, please leave your number in the chat. If you want to know what GRE is like, what GMAT is like, if you want a free demo class with us also, we'll be happy to schedule it for you. If you want to talk to our admissions team regarding your profile, your eligibility for admissions, scholarships, etc., then also we'll be happy to do that for you. Please leave your number in the chat. Our team will be reaching out to you. Thank you, everyone. Have a great evening and have a great weekend. Yes, Rajan, over to you.
Thank you, Arjuna, for the kind closing lines, and thank you to Ryan and Julia for being a patient panelist and giving quite useful information to our attendees. And we look forward to more sessions like this with you in future. So thank you everyone for a wonderful session, and we wish you all the best for your careers and a great education ahead. So thank you everyone. Take care.
So we'll hang around for about a couple of minutes, and to allow you to type your phone numbers in the chat window. Once you have done that, feel free to log out.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Stay safe.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Okay, bye.
Talk soon.